When you're taking on the tough jobs, gear up with Venom Steel Gloves and defend your hands from grime, grease, and muck. They're 70% thicker than common disposable gloves with heavy-duty 2-layer nitrile protection, including a black outer layer and a white inner layer that provides chemical and rip resistance. Great for all your painting, plumbing, automotive, and DIY projects.
So good, so good, so good.
Spring styles are at Nordstrom Rack stores now, and they're up to 60% off. Stock up and save on Rag & Bone, Madewell, Vince, All Saints, and more of your favorites.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas?
Why do we rack? For the hottest deals. Just so many good brands.
Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
Live from New York. It's the show that was right about a lot of things. I was constantly claiming, hey, this team is winning. Since the All-Star break, this team has been great on offense, great on defense. Is it time to start talking about the Atlanta Hawks?
It's time.
And Brew,
We don't talk about them.
and you constantly said, no, we should not talk about them. They played one of the worst halves in the history of organized basketball, including just 10 kids in a rack.
And, you know, I can't just point fingers, I gotta point thumbs. One of our finals picks has been eliminated.
Already.
It's May 1st. I had the Nuggets in the finals.
Unbelievable.
I had the Nuggets in the
That
finals.
means you can't talk any trash.
I know.
For the playoffs.
I'm just dead.
You might.
And by the way,
By
The Lakers could win it.
I
and
know.
You can't talk
I had
trash.
the Nuggets, Brew, playing the Celtics. Neither of my finalists have advanced. One is facing a
Monday.
game 7.
I'm feeling better about my Pistons.
You
First
should.
hour, first things first today. The Wolves win. What's next for Minnesota? And maybe more interesting, what's next for the Joker?
We know what's next for Minnesota. Game 1, Spurs. Great point.
Right.
But couldn't they win?
Question
They're
is
huge
the
underdogs.
Nuggets.
Huge underdogs.
Meanwhile, Celtics lose. Is it panic time in Boston? Tatum is going to play Game 7 after there was a little bit of a scare there. He left the game. And finally, a fresh edition of Title Pie featuring what is rumored to be a pecan pie.
That's not what it's featuring.
What do you
It's
got?
featuring great graphical analysis of who can win the championship for the audience.
I don't know.
The audience doesn't get to eat the pie like you guys.
Have you ever watched
We
the
do
cooking
the
show?
show
I
for
watch
the
it.
audience.
Is pecan your favorite pie?
It's, you know what it is? It's not, but when it's there, it is. It's like the Thunder.
Interesting.
It's
What?
like, they're not my favorite, but then seeing them, like, well, that's obviously my favorite. Great episode coming up. All-time episode. We're all on 5 hours sleep. We start in Minnesota. Joker eliminated. 28 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists. But Jamal Murray only had 12 and Aaron Gordon watched. Here was Joker postgame.
I mean, we just lost in the first round, so I think we are far away.
Do you feel like changes are like what kind of change?
I mean, that's not from me, my decision, to be honest. Definitely, if we're in Serbia, we will all get fired.
The lore of Serbian basketball, no matter what.
They don't play it.
No, it's
That's
always
why
like
it's
a
so good.
hard foul there. Serbia in jail for 10 years. What? Okay, what does this loss mean for Joker?
It's a total catastrophe. It's a total catastrophe. Its best player alive was losing in round 1 against a team that was without its top 4 guards. Without a team that was without its only superstar. A team who's really fun to watch and hard-nosed role player, Jaden McDaniels, called you guys out after game 2 and then just kept upping the ante and proving he was right. And we're going to talk big picture Joker stuff, but in the micro, the only real, fair, harsh critique of Nikola Jokic, the basketball player, is his defense. It's what Jaden called out, and one can argue it's what ended their season last night. I know Jamal Murray was not good, and Joker, by his standards, had a rough series on the offensive end. But I'm just going to show you 3 plays that were one right before the half ended and one right at the beginning of the second, or 2 right at the beginning of the second half, where you tell me if Nikola Jokic is even interested in providing any type of resistance at the rim. The first one is a great dunk, Joker, business decision. In an elimination playoff game, business decision. Can't happen.
So I don't know how many fouls was this a foul situation?
He had 2 fouls at that point. Now in the third quarter, he picked up a 3rd foul early. But again, you tell me if he is getting okay, I'll just stay out of the way. And there's a way to contest without fouling. So watch this one again.
You got to raise your arm.
Raise your arms.
Yeah, I go straight up like that.
I mean, not that he's blocking shots, but
here's
he can raise
the very next play. And you'll see a better angle on it. The very next play. Your season's on the line. And like you're on like the macho pride stuff, you got called out. But more importantly, your season's on the line.
Yep.
And so
there's a fearlessness with which the Wolves attack the basket. Even if he's not.
You think?
Even if he's not going straight up, but like you're not worried about getting
and then
hit.
Dust reminded me. I had one. There was one more, which is, again, this is a key spot at the end of the quarter, and he just loses his concentration on a free throw box out, and lets a little guy. He's the best rebounder in the league, and go. I sometimes give guys a pass when like a 94% free throw shooter misses a free throw. Because it's like you're right. You're not locked in. Gobert's no great free and so it just
the Wolves are crashing.
It's a really rough series for Joker, and it means a lot in that regard. You go ahead.
Oh, well, look, I don't. For me, it means more than for Joker, it means for his amen corner in the media. Those that love the numbers, love the analytics, and have said he's the best center ever, or maybe the best center ever, maybe the best player ever. It really means something for them. Those of us, look, Jokic is still right where he's always been for me. Below that upper echelon of centers of Shaq, Kareem, Wilt, Russell, and Olajuwon. And kind of battling with Moses Malone. And I will put Duncan, if we want to call him a center, with that top group.
Of course.
So if you had him like that, then, okay, nothing really changes. All right. Now, in the micro, and I thought you pointed out some great video, Nick, you just cannot. Look, I've been fair to Jokic and said all these guys ahead of him had a Kobe, had a Dwayne Wade, and had a Magic Johnson, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He's never had that, all right? So I'll give him credit for that. Maybe that explains why he's only got 1 ring. But that has nothing to do with last night.
And losing in round 1.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot lose. Anthony Edwards played 4 games, and for all 4 he played, he was hindered.
Yes.
All right? And then, like you said, it was their 3rd string backcourt that went out there and gave you the business. And look, Jokic, the numbers are sensational. 25, 13, and 9.5 assists. He almost averaged a triple-double. But he shot 44% from the field, very poor for a big man, especially him, and 19% from 3. And we always say in the playoffs, you have to, at the very least, play at the level you played in the regular season. The great ones elevate even in the playoffs. Jokic actually, they needed him to be himself or better, and he declined. A little, like I said, the numbers look great. Rebounded fine, assists fine, scoring was down, and the efficiency way down. So they needed him.
The threes killed you.
Yeah, they needed him to step up and be the super duper star he is, and he couldn't. And Rudy Gobert, we got to face it. I can't say Rudy Gobert outplayed him because you saw the numbers.
I don't know. I think you can say that.
I can't. I mean, Rudy Gobert, what he averaged? 10 points. I mean,
That's not his job.
Well, he may have done his job better, but his job is not equal to what Jokic's job is. So, but Rudy Gobert really slowed him down and gave him problems.
Can you say he won the matchup without outplaying him? Because I think that's what KW said. You know what I like? Rudy Gobert's job.
He did his job better.
Yes.
He did his job better.
than
Just
Joker
not
did
his.
Playing basketball?
It's not scoring. It's not assisting. But here's the thing for Gobert. While Jokic entering the series had his way with Gobert statistically, against Gobert, Jokic is 25-31 career. That includes the playoffs. So Gobert, and look, let's just face it, and Jokic, you see where I got him, top 10 center all time, top 6, whatever, 7. But he is in an era where there are really no great, true centers.
Embiid.
Yeah, but Embiid hardly ever plays.
Correct.
You know? So take out Embiid. Wemby even plays like a guard or a forward or something like that. This is the one guy that's his size that's like a legitimate center, Rudy Gobert. And he gave Jokic a lot of trouble. So what would Shaq, Olajuwon, who could go outside and guard him, even a David Robinson, like guys like that, don't tell me they couldn't have given Jokic problems. Don't tell me he would have abused them. He's on their level, but don't tell me he would have abused them when he couldn't even abuse Rudy Gobert.
So do you want to go before I go big picture?
Well, no, I wanted to ask a question.
Sure, go ahead.
In this script coming up, I say that Jaden McDaniels eliminated the best player in the world.
No,
So do you think he lost that title?
That
do I need
title's
to amend the script?
That's gone. He's not.
I said weeks ago it's Wemby.
Yeah, Brew did say it weeks ago, here's where I think that moved. Even people who thought it was Wemby or thought it was Shea, I think understood there was a great argument for Joker. The argument's gone now.
Absolutely.
And listen, I don't know. It's not like there's shame. It's like now he's all the way down to third, or wherever it is.
Let me throw this at you. And I agree. Like I said, I think it's Wemby. I think Wemby or Shea at the end of this season is going to be viewed as the best player in the world by most people. But just hypothetically, let's say Shea and Wemby go out in the second round,
well, then
or
Luka,
third round. Then does he?
I don't.
He's
think,
in that.
If they all go out early, I think it's Shea. Because Wemby, we haven't seen the playoff run yet from Wemby. Shea's going to be the 2-time MVP, and whenever he goes out, it's not going to be as sad as this. It's not going to be in round 1 to a team that is without all their guys,
crazy.
And so this is where Brew, you were talking about the hierarchy. I have a graphic I'd like to show you guys, and unlike the last time I did something like this, I did not leave Steph Curry off it because don't go to it yet.
No, you screwed that up.
I just want to because I care more than most about the willy-nilly-ness of people saying top 10. Top 10 and it's got 17 guys.
Exactly. Thank you.
So,
thank you.
Joker gets regularly just attached to his name. Oh, he's top 10 all-time player. No. And so here is the graphic, and this is the guys that are top 20, and it's more than 20 guys. So here's guys that are definitively top 10 all-time players. There is no argument against any of those guys being in the top 10 all-time. Okay? Here is now 7 guys, there's only 5 spots left, who are in the top 10 argument. Wilt, Duncan, Kobe, Bird, Hakeem, Shaq, Steph. There's only room for 5 of them. You will hear different people arguing for different of those guys, which is definitionally why it's an argument. Okay? So now we're at 12 names. The top row, if you're listening on the podcast, was Bron, Kareem, Jordan, Russell, Magic.
Good job.
And now, guys who are definitively in the top 20, Dr. J, Moses, West, and Oscar. I don't know where they are, but they are definitively in the top 20. We're now at 16 guys. So the following group of guys are the guys in the top 20 argument. It is Durant, Giannis, Joker, Isaiah, Dirk, Kuzi, and Mikan. I wasn't going to leave out Kuzi and Mikan because the league existed. You've got to include it. I know Brew thinks I overrate Dirk. It's why it's in the argument. That's fine. But that's the world.
And how many total people are on here now?
So now that's 23 guys.
Okay.
That's the world where Joker exists. And I think that is not an insult, but it is more accurate to say, man, he might not be top 20 all time currently than it is to say he is top 10. He isn't a top 10 all time player, and you can't fairly make an argument that he is. Now, you might very well say, I think he's the best guy on that bottom row, and also I think he's better than Moses, Nick. You can make that argument. I'll list like that to me is, those are fair arguments, fair discussions to be had, but we can't.
You can't jump 2 tiers.
It just becomes disrespectful of what the other guys have done, and that's what a lot of some of the Joker, and this started for me 5 years ago when he was winning MVPs, and then no one's shocked when he gets dusted in round 1. Because when he's a multi-time MVP, it always felt like there was a corner of the media that got bigger and bigger and bigger and grew and grew and grew that kind of changed the rules on how we evaluate individually great NBA players for him. And again, all year long, I said I thought he was the best player in the league, and I thought they were going to go to the finals. So I'm stunned by this, but I think the historical record has to be corrected to it.
And I think quickly, the defense is huge. Now, Wemby overstated it 50% of the game.
But it's not
30,
0%.
35%, something like that. Like, it is important. And if he were a good defender at the rim for his size, they probably win this series because they're not getting attacked the way they were.
In 3 of their losses, they didn't get to 100 points. So scoring was an issue, too. All right, on the winning side, Jaden McDaniels said the whole team was bad defenders and then backed it up with the best game of his career. He played 45 minutes, scored a career-high 32 points, and eliminated who we are now calling a top 23 arguable player.
Career high?
32,
yeah.
Not just
Regular
playoff
season.
high?
Regular,
Wow, I didn't know he did. That's
can you imagine
amazing.
that stepping up?
I didn't know that.
You've talked all that
That's
junk.
awesome.
He's like, I'm...
former
dude
Gatorade
is
High
made
School
of
Player of the Year, by the way.
Oh.
For the state of Washington.
I was about to say. Hey,
good.
Washington is a hot
has some ballers.
up there in the Seattle area.
I tell you. All right, here's Jaden postgame.
It just shows that we all put the work in. TJ, Nas, JC, everybody, Drew, Rudy. I mean, we all put the work in, so it's what we expect.
Jaden, you talk the talk and walk the walk in this series. What are we witnessing about your journey?
I just love to compete, man. Ain't no reason to talk no more. Just come out and compete and get ready for next round.
What did the T-Wolves prove, bro?
Quite a bit. All right, quite a bit. Number 1, I got a list.
Yes.
Chris Finch is a heck of a playoff coach.
Oh, love it.
The last 3 years, they've overachieved in the playoffs. I mean, that's what you want to do. Like, this regular season they weren't what you thought they'd be. I mean, it was injuries, a lot of that. But come playoff time, and this year proved it beyond the shadow of a doubt, he is a heck of a coach.
Can I ask a bonus take?
Yeah.
I'll say it.
No, go ahead.
Adelman feels like it was a big loss for him. Chris Finch beat Michael Malone, so I can't say that wouldn't have happened again. But Adelman,
it
felt like he came up short.
This is just no. You are not playing. I mean, I'm sorry. If I have a team that is unquestionably better than you have, and I've got by far the best player in the series. I'm talking about after Minnesota's hurt, and you beat me on my turf.
Okay, you know,
I'm sorry.
quick,
Like, it's on the board. You could justify getting rid of him.
It's on the board.
Without question.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not predicting it, but it wouldn't. But go.
I'm not predicting it either, but it would be more than justified.
And Adelman better hope his passport's not updated. Joker invited him to Serbia. They fired him for him. He said it.
Number 2, they got heart and mental toughness, obviously.
Yep.
Number 3, a team beats an individual. All right? They were a team. I mean, especially once they lost Anthony Edwards and then DiVincenzo and Io DeSumo and the rest of I mean, they were a team. They had no superstar. One time it was Ant. One time it was Jaden. One time it was Terrence freaking Shannon. All right? And they were a team. And Denver, you knew it's got to be Jokic and Jamal Murray. And that was it. So a team beat them. And I want to shout out Terrence Shannon Jr. That is how you be a next man up. The energy, the aggressiveness, the bounce he played with.
The dunk going into halftime.
Yes. And throughout the game, I've said to you guys, like, when someone is out in front of you, you don't want anybody to be injured. But you should be like, this is my turn.
Yeah.
All right, I'm about to go show these guys that I can hoop. And credit to him.
Shannon Jr.
Hey, if somebody was hurt, more shots for me.
That's exactly
all right, that's what I get to do. So, shout out to him. He played Terrence Shannon Jr. Played like Anthony Edwards Jr.
If this was the first game you ever watched, like, oh, he's an all-star, right?
Yes,
like,
you would.
No.
I mean, the way he was attacking.
That's a testament to Finch and a testament to the GM who used to be the Nuggets GM. Io, pardon me. I apologize for keep butchering his name. I have it backwards in my head.
Yeah,
he gets his moment. If you just watch that game, you're like, he's an all-star.
Right. He's great.
Terrence Shannon gets his moment. He must be an all-star. So part of that is Tim Connolly seeing that these guys have at least something in them. And part of it is Chris Finch over the course of the year getting them ready for the moment. I don't want to be prisoner of the moment, but it feels we believe-ish. Like a first-round series.
I think it's the equivalent. I think
a
it's
first-round series that we're going to harken back to.
Okay, I thought you were projecting.
I mean, that team didn't go far.
That team got popped in the next round.
Yeah. And this will, I mean, they likely will. So, I think it's the same thing.
Where it is,
the same.
like, oh, my God. Because I know Anthony only, he played the beginning of the series, but not really.
Yeah, he wasn't himself.
He was injured. Their best player started the series at like 50%, and then 50% of the way through the series was out. And all of a sudden you have Mike Conley, who's been traded and bought out, is playing big minutes. You have Dante was key for them. He goes down. We talked about Io. He scores 40, then he goes down. It's for them to do that, and against this Nuggets team, you combine it with Jaden McDaniels trash talk in game 2 and the fact they had Denver rattled from Jump Street. Joker got into 2 different scraps in this series. And there is the other thing for the T-Wolves is this, and I have to put my hand up because I've been a part of it, probably not to the level of some others because it's mostly been other players, either former or current. But Rudy Gobert has been the subject of a lot of postseason punchlines. And Rudy Gobert has been the subject of a lot of, and again, my hand is up. Now it looks like pretty unfair analysis of his real impact and is regularly mocked by guys that he's going to share a room with one day, which is the Hall of Fame. And for him to take it, and by the way, Joker's not one of the guys who's mocked him. It's been the inside crew, Draymond, it's been a lot of guys. For him to take on this challenge night after night after night, and after doing it once 2 years ago, when he eliminated them essentially with a turnaround jump shot in Game 7 himself, that's really cool. And he deserves to feel awesome this morning.
He's like a modern-day version of Dikembe Mutombo. He's kind of like, I mean, he's that type of, defender, didn't score.
Yeah, but it feels like but Dikembe was universally beloved and respected.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Gobert, maybe because he's French, people
didn't like
him.
his personality. The COVID stuff,
Dust, do you have the Joker graphic when defended by Gobert? Joker. So this is a little bit of a balance when we make these questions. How much is just Joker not meeting the moment? How much of this is Gobert, exceeding expectations? Joker, when defended by Gobert, shot 42%, 6 for 24 from 3. The Wolves, this is from Zach Graham. The Nuggets scored fewer than 100 points twice during the whole regular season, 3 times against the Wolves in the playoffs.
They were the best offense in the league.
96, 125, 98 last night. So Gobert pulled this off. And the final thing, I know you're sort of our human trade machine. Mm-hmm. When this deal went down, I feel like universally,
5 first-round picks.
It felt nuts. And granted, Keontae George came out of it, but I look back at that now like, oh yeah, that is the way you build a team via defense.
So here's the other key part of that trade. If you remember, this was 5 firsts. When people were criticizing it. When Tim Connolly was asked about it, he was like, well, we had to include 2 extra firsts because we wouldn't give up Jaden McDaniels.
Oh, is that true? I don't remember that storyline.
At the time, people were like, come on. Like, Jaden McDaniels, nice player, but you're saying, like, you gave up the Jazz really wanted Jaden McDaniels, and the Timberwolves were adamant, we won't give him up. And listen, some of it is, it's not revisionist history. That did happen. We don't know what would have happened had you traded him, whatever. But in this moment, looks like they knew what they had in Jaden McDaniels.
He's a really good.
Trade's not done. 2027 unprotected first, 2029 top 5 protected. So it's still going on. But shout out to Rudy, met the moment. All right, coming up next, we didn't even get to the Knicks. Are the Celtics in trouble? And some Hawks-Knicks talk after the break.
This is a Bose moment. It's 10 blocks from the train to your apartment door. 10 basic, boring city blocks until the beat drops in Bose clarity. Streetlights become spotlights as you strut down the sidewalk, your own personal runway. With Bose, you get every note, every bass line, every detail, just as you should. Those 10 blocks, they could be the best part of your day. Your life deserves music. Your music deserves Bose. Find your perfect product at Bose.com.
We're going to have a Game 7 in Boston after the Sixers came alive in Philadelphia. Tatum and Brown combined for only 35 points. The Celtics only scored 93, and it was yet another cold shooting night. Here's a stat from Josh. It's one thing to just miss contested jumpers. This one is wide open last night. 19% on wide open shots.
Wow.
Is it panic time for the Celtics?
It is beyond panic time.
Beyond?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Look.
I don't even know what is beyond.
You guys know the Grim Reaper does not discriminate. He comes for anyone and everyone.
I didn't know
okay?
that.
Last week, he came for the Knicks. This week, he is coming for the Celtics. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is death's door. And this week it is green because it has the Celtics name on it. Notice the cobwebs and everything.
Why?
Death's door right here. That's where the Celtics are.
Door bits
I'm
are
offended as a
KWs.
producer and someone who did a door bit.
That's what I thought.
It's a little small, but it's Death's door.
Death's door.
Yeah, okay.
That's where the Celtics are.
Who did, Dusty? The door can't be 8 inches tall.
I thought it would be bigger.
Chris,
but,
good luck with that shot. All right, Death's door.
All right, go ahead, Bruce. Sorry. That's why I couldn't tell Brew right when Wiles was doing the read. Because Brew and I sometimes silently like, hey, who wants to go first? Brew was like, go to me. I didn't know he had the death's door bit coming.
All right, look, we've been talking about the Celtics and the 3-ball.
Yeah.
All right, now last night they didn't start out just chucking threes.
No.
They were 3 for 7 from 3 in the first quarter. 7 is not a lot. That's 28 for a game. And they were up 23-20. Over the next 3 quarters, they put up 34 threes. That's a lot. That's almost on an average of almost 50 a game. And they shot 9 for 34, 26%. They were outscored 86-70. So that's just, I'm not saying that was the whole game, but that is the importance of the 3-ball to them. Secondly, Nick, look, Tyrese Maxey.
Yes, thank you.
And Pete, we all know how great Paul George is.
Whoa.
And he's not even in his prime, but he's healthy and he's playing well. Those two can match Tatum and Brown. I'm not saying they're necessarily as good individually or whatever.
It's not a landslide.
No. I mean, they can match them in most games. Paul George is going to be a Hall of Famer, and Tyrese Maxey is going to be all NBA along with Jaylen Brown. Like, so they can match them, and then you got Embiid inside. And last night he didn't shoot well, 6 for 18, but he was passing. He was a great passing the ball. And that's the thing. You get it to him either inside or at the foul line, and he can pick the defense apart either with jumpers or assists. He has some great passes. We might see some in the highlights. He had a behind-the-back pass to Kelly Oubre. but they don't have anybody for Embiid. And so, yeah, this is a tough matchup. I mean, they could just flat out beat the Celtics even if the Celtics play well.
So, you're right, and it would be wholly unacceptable. They were up 3-1, and 2 of their 3 wins had come by 32 points. Not combined, each.
Mm-hmm. Now, one was without Embiid.
Well, actually, both of their blowout wins were with. No, you're right. One was without, and one was when Embiid came back, but he wasn't right. But this is a Celtics team that, under Mazzulla, has one of the years won a title and looked unbelievable doing it, never facing a Game 6. And then the other 2 years prior to this one, where they didn't win the title, not only did they lose in the playoffs, they lost in the playoffs to a team that they were supposed to be way better than. In 2023, they fell down 3-2 to Philadelphia in a series, fought their way out of that, and then fell down 3-0 to Miami, the 8 seed, ended up forcing a Game 7 and losing. They lost as a 2 seed to an 8 seed to go to the finals. That last year, they played a Knicks team. Yes, it was 2 versus 3, but it was a 61-win team against a 51-win team. A team they were 10 games better than the regular season. They lost to them in kind of short order. I know it was a 6-game series, but the Knicks were dominating or up 3-1 in the series before Tatum went down. And now they're a 2 seed that was 11 games better in the regular season than Philadelphia. And they were up 3-1. And here's the other piece of it, Brew. There have been at this point a decent amount, not a ton, but a decent amount of 3-1 comebacks in NBA history. The thing is this, though. What all of those have in common is the team that was down 3-1 was awesome. Like, was the favorite in the series or a great team with an all-time great player. If we show
the teams that came back and won.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The teams that, so overcame a 3-1 deficit. 5 times it was a number 1 seed. 5 times it was a number 2 seed. Twice it was a number 3 seed. The one other time when it was 6 seed, it was the defending champs. It was the Rockets in 95 who were kind of a fake 6 seed because they added Clyde and they were the defending champs. So like you never see a huge underdog fall down 3-1 and then come back. It's never happened. The closest to that would, I guess, be the Cavs were a huge underdog in 16, but they had Bron.
Are they actually a 7 seed?
If they're Embiid, let's pray he can play the rest of the playoffs or however far they go. But if this was their team all year and they were healthy all year, remember Paul George was out too, they wouldn't have been the 6 seed.
7 seed. Yeah, no, yes. But the other piece of that is the Celtics were the 2 seed without having their best player all year. So if both teams were healthy all year, yeah, the Sixers have a better seed, but the Celtics might have been a 60-some win team. Now again, am I a little on tilt because my finals matchup, one team's already out and the other team, the team I picked to win, is all of a sudden.
You should start looking around.
But, this would be a catastrophe. And the point
for
that
you personally or the Celtics are you talking about?
Both.
And I want to, when you're done, I got
the point that I made about Boston after they lost Game 2, I'm going to reiterate here. If they lose this series, the management, Brad Stevens and his team of the Boston Celtics need to spend real time this offseason saying, is this the way we should be playing? Are we underselling the actual talent and ability of Tatum and Brown by playing stylistically this money ball style more than any other team in the league? Does that make us more susceptible than any other excellent team to these playoff upsets? Because if they lose this series, it will be 3 times in 4 years. They were huge favorites in a series.
This is still a bit of a, I know.
Yeah, this is different.
As far as gap years go, I know they push that aside. But this is supposed to be a little bit of a recalculate the books. You don't have like a defender on Drew Holiday's level. Porzingis is gone, where you had like a big guy inside can give you some defense. And Horford will pop up and be a 7-footer. Like, they got smaller, more nimble.
Well, here's where the point you were making. Part of that conversation, when they do sit down and say, should we be playing this way? You're right. Obviously, Jalen and Jason can play any way they need to.
The rest of the roster might not be able
Yes, Shireman, Jordan Walsh, Derek White, who's a phenomenal defender, but not, he's got his offensive limitations. Sure. Kata, like Garza, all these guys they're playing.
Not
Sam
Horford.
Hauser.
My point is they're not Horford level.
No, my point is that
here comes Porzingis.
Without the 3 ball, a lot of those guys, what is their value? What are they going to do? So I think that would be now they can build the team.
Right, that's what I was going to say. You have the hardest parts of the team building, the superstars there already.
Yep.
They don't have like toxic contracts on their books. They haven't traded away a bunch of picks. You can pivot around the edges around those guys. That's the question I would be asking. And what I'm going to push back strong on this was supposed to be a gap year anyway. It stopped being that when the team was the 2 seed without Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
And when the East seemed super wide open, and then Tatum came back and is way ahead of schedule. I understand he got hurt. The other leg got hurt yesterday, but it looks like he's going to be okay. It is, if they were, again, lose a hard-fought series to the Knicks, who we're going to talk about in a minute, who might be peaking. Okay, like maybe you can deal with that because you weren't, championship or bust this year. You cannot be up 3-1 in a series against a team that twice in the series you beat by 30 and blow a Game 7 at home.
Yeah.
Let me say this quickly, and I know Tatum is saying he's fine and everything. I would strongly consider not playing him.
What? For a Game 7?
Yep. Because look, it's the other leg, potential overcompensate. Now, I'm not a doctor. They got great doctors. I'm just saying if there's even a hint of pain, uncomfortability, whatever, in his calf, we know what the calf can lead to. I might sit him. I'm serious. Even if he feels fine, I might sit him.
That is a shocking take from you. You must be really worried about it because how many times have the opposite take.
I bet you Ayo Dosunmu probably could have went out there and done something. But it's the calf. We've seen what's happened with these calves.
I feel like Jason Tatum would suit up and enter the game himself for a Game 7 in Boston.
If he weren't coming off what he's coming off, because it's the other leg, God forbid he messed up the other Achilles. Can you imagine having to go through that a year? I mean, it happened with Klay, with the knees, Klay Thompson. But
my goodness,
I don't want that. I'm just saying, I would strongly consider it. It is not as bad as it would be if they lost, Nick. It is not worth him getting hurt again. And maybe you can let him sit out. Look, you could win this game without him. Yeah. You could. And then maybe a week or so and he's back. I'm just saying, I would consider it. Not a doctor, but it would be something I'd think long and hard about.
KW?
Soft.
I have Tatum's best interest at heart.
Listen,
so because I usually don't do this. I'm saying that means.
I'm only kidding.
Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine before they start. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents on average 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Got ugly in Atlanta. Knicks win by 51. At one point in the first half, it was 60 to 19, which in my son's league, they would have kindly turned off the scoreboard. Tweet from Karithika Uthayyakumar. 37,964 games have been played in the NBA since 96-97. The Knicks-Hawks is the first game where the road team scored 100 points before the home team had 50.
And by the way,
38,000 games.
Whenever you see a stat like that since 96-97, it might mean also first game ever. Because we just only have the data going back to then. So it's possible that's never happened in the history of the NBA.
Brew, the reaction to this historic walloping.
I was just going to say, I've started covering the NBA in 1995. I started watching the NBA like seriously in 1976 or something like that. Yeah. I've never, but that's serious. I've never seen anything like that. I know last year the Cavs blew out some team in a closeout game or something. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, this was not, the Knicks were phenomenal. Their defense, before we get to the defense was great, like top level. And Thibodeau, who is a very good coach, I got nothing bad to say about Tibbs. Tibbs has been known as a defensive coach, but their defense this year under Mike Brown has been better than their defense was last year under Tibbs. And last night, even with Brunson and Cat on the floor, they were all over the Hawks, and the Hawks were turning it over left and right. And then offensively, Nick, one of my look, it's hard to take a ton away from something like this because it's such an aberration. But in addition to their defense being next level when they wanted to, offensively, look, I've been saying for a long time, as great as Jalen Brunson is, they do not have to be a Brunson-centric offense. Because, one, you got Cat, and I focus a lot on Cat. He's darn near as good as Brunson in his own way. He should be involved in the offense nearly as much as Brunson.
140 points, he had 4 shots.
Yeah, I was going to say, they still can't get Cat involved.
Well, but didn't he have 10 assists?
Yeah.
10 assists.
Oh, yeah.
He had triple-double.
The last 3 games, he's averaged 8.5 assists a game because they're giving him the ball as a playmaker. But my point is this. OG Anunoby is also a guy that on a good team, a contender, can be like an 18-point scorer. Mikal Bridges, I know he's been slumping. Obviously not last night. He has been a 20-point scorer in his career for good teams. Like, they should be. I love having Brunson for his clutch play and his ability to create a shot when you need it. He is great at that. But they should have a little more of an egalitarian offense because they have so much talent. That's not even to mention a Jordan Clarkson off the bench and a Josh Hart who can do some things with the ball. So I just think that was a big takeaway for me because obviously Anunoby and Bridges had the big offensive games. They have a lot of offensive talent. They don't have to just be one guy doing it all by himself.
So I've not been watching the league since 1977. However, I can say, like Bruce said, I've never seen anything like it. They were up 47 at halftime. In the first half, there was a 36-4 run.
Tough one.
That was started off a 60-11 run. The little win probability silliness things that we see. Yeah. It was at 97% after the first quarter, which in the NBA is close to impossible.
Right.
And that type of game, here's what I can say about it. It is very rare that one game changes what you think of a team's ceiling. It's very often one game can change what you think of a team's floor. Usually it's because of injury or sometimes it's because some roster flaw has been exposed. And it's like I always think back to first year the Warriors won the title, Warriors-Grizzlies. When the moment the Warriors decided we're not guarding Tony Allen, I'm like, oh yeah, the Grizzlies are screwed. like that. So you sometimes see one game. This is the rare one game where I'm like, oh yeah, so the Knicks definitely can win the East.
Yep.
Like definitely can win the East. And then you see. Like, and then
I will say this, Nick. I'll take it a step further. I'm not predicting it, but they can win it all.
They match up because they've
2-1 against San Antonio, beat them in the NBA Cup. I would pick the Spurs over them, but the Knicks would definitely have a shot.
I was at the Garden when one of the only games the Spurs have lost that Wemby played like in the last 3 months was a game in the Garden where they really had him out of sorts. And so the 2 losses in games 2 and 3 for the Knicks, first one they blew it. You know, they had control of that game. They blew it down the stretch. And the second one was just a gut punch where Brunson airballs the shot, then CJ hits his, then they don't get a shot up, remember, on the final possession. To respond to that by Game 4 beatdown, Game 5 beatdown, Game 6 historic annihilation, that is really impressive. Go ahead.
No, how many points did Bridges end up with?
He's 10 for 12. He had 24 points. So that was important because he was having a brutal series.
Legler, I always think it's interesting to see what the broadcast does in a 50-point game because you're trying to make it interesting. And Legler brought up a really good point that this is bad for whoever the Knicks play next because Bridges was in this historic slump, and now you're getting free playoff basketball to get out of your slump. So maybe the one part of the Knicks squad that we thought was a whole has now been eliminated.
And I'll say who they play next. If I'm the Knicks, I'm rooting for Boston.
Wow.
You're kidding me.
What? Brew keeps having these takes at the end of the segment.
They match up. We know they match up well with Boston. I'm not saying they guarantee to beat either of them. Philly, I don't want to see Philly with Embiid healthy. Last time they played Embiid, he gave him a little trouble, took him to 6 2 years ago. He wasn't even healthy then. Like Embiid healthy, because Embiid salivates when he sees Karl Anthony Towns. You know that. And I think that, there are very few bigs that can match up with Towns. He's one of them. Okay. He will outplay Towns.
Wow. Okay.
This is unbelievable.
I'm not saying who I would pick yet, but I'd rather see Boston.
All of sports media today is exhausted and groggy from 2 weeks of nonstop playoff basketball. Brew is just firing on all cylinders.
I'm coming out here like Terrence Shannon Jr. Right? Full of energy.
Coming up next, most delicious segment in all sports, Title Pie. And pecan pie.
Huge redemption for the Pie, the Sixers, who I never would take off the Pie.
I have to give you that. I have to give you credit.
But the team you had with a huge slice is now at home.
You said this place was steps from the water.
We just haven't found the steps yet.
How much did we save?
Enough.
Enough to get lost?
Or you could book a stay with Hilton.
Welcome to your oceanfront room, just steps from the water.
The Hilton sale is on now. Book on Hilton.com or the Hilton app and save up to 20% to get the stay you expected. When you want savings, not surprises, it matters where you stay. Hilton, for the stay.
Live from New York, a show that's already getting ready to buy Knicks tickets for the next round. Brew's talking about getting everybody a beautiful suite.
Oh, what's going to happen? Didn't you have Game 7 tickets?
We got them refunded, I think. And we're just going to
roll it over.
It'd be nice. They can roll it over.
They're very high up. Very high up.
Oh.
But
that's
the Garden
not like
rocks.
Yeah, the Garden does.
It's a great place to go see.
Don't say your gambling buddies.
Gambling, it's just true. I was going to say friends, but then you revealed it. My gambling buddies, they've been flying to Atlanta and sitting courtside because it's cheaper.
That's the Knicks.
Oh, yeah.
Not eco-friendly.
Including the flight.
Yeah, exactly.
Today, what would blowing a 3-0 lead mean for LeBron's legacy? It's a fair question, okay?
Yeah,
it's a fair question. Oh, Rich Paul got upset, I heard.
Rich Paul got upset when players talk about it. Luckily, we're not.
CYO legends. Meanwhile, did Jokic's title window close in Denver? Do they need to make some moves? But right now, what a day. We've cooked up the most delicious segment in all of sports to get a taste of which teams have the recipe for success and which teams have a fork in them. They're done. It's Title Pie featuring a pecan pie, bro.
Wow. This is sweet.
As you know, we'll be eating during the segment to add a little bit of just chaotic flair.
Just take your time, Nick. Take your time saying your
People love it. It's like a cooking show and basketball analysis.
All work. You guys can go ahead and eat.
Ooh.
It's May, and there is an odd rule in the bylaws about title pie once the calendar turns to May.
What is that?
If you're still playing, you have to get a slice.
Fair.
Once we're to May, if you're not eliminated, no matter whether or not we think you actually can, the calendar's turned to May. Which,
I like that.
So that seems fair.
I like that.
0.5%, the Houston Rockets. Along with them at 0.5%, the Toronto Raptors.
Sure.
Can I see either of these teams actually winning? They both would need to win 14 more playoff games. Do I think that's happening? I don't. Do I think either of these teams are winning a road game 7? I don't. However, they're not eliminated. We're in the spring. They're on the pie. All the way down to 2%. The Detroit Pistons.
Come on.
I think they're losing this round. And if the reason I think they have a shot is not because I think they figured something out in Game 5. It's because Franz Wagner's hurt.
Right.
And so I have been, we have talked a lot on this show about the sweet spot of being an all-star but not a superstar. Great evidence of it. Watch our A block and see how much time is dedicated to Jamal Murray's horrific Game 6. Almost none. Is he a max player? Yep. All-star? Yep. Maybe an All-NBA player? Nobody cares. Jalen Duren, come on down. Because he is going to be on the All-NBA team. He's an all-star, and he has been just dreadful. I'm shocked by it, but just dreadful, and nobody really
Do you think Cade's 45-point game has now excluded him from criticism if they lose? It's a 1-8.
It's not excluded him from criticism. I think that if you're watching this series, yes, Cade's been a little loose with the ball, but I think your big takeaway is, man, they need Cade to do everything.
Yeah, I don't think he's getting killed.
So if
it's a 1-8.
That part's true.
But again, somewhat like Philly, they're not your typical. They were injured all year too.
Orlando, and Orlando had preseason expectations, and Detroit is not your typical 1 seed because people. I don't know. I'm just telling you how I think it's going to go. Speaking of Orlando, up to 3%. The Magic. Now, that might seem high. No, for real.
Yeah, a little
However, I think they're going to win this series, and I give them a real shot against Cleveland.
I do too.
And so, talk about late bloomers. Maybe the Magic team that people thought they could be in the offseason has finally arrived. It also does winning this series create one of the odder situations of the offseason where I think it's fair to say the Magic had decided they were moving on from Jamal Mosley. I don't think they can.
I think you got to.
And I'm not even saying they should, but I'm not certain that this one series fixed he and Paolo's frosty relationship. And so it's just a unique situation there.
Also, quickly, Nick,
Yeah.
look at a few of the teams that have been in the finals recently from the East. The 8th-seeded Heat.
Yeah.
The Pacers last year came out of nowhere. I mean, I'm not predicting that they go to the finals.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a wacky conference.
Yeah, what is true is since LeBron left the conference, it's been pretty wide open.
No,
You haven't had anybody repeat as the conference champion. It's been very wide open. Speaking of since LeBron left the conference, up to 4% for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I haven't loved their series against Toronto, but as ask Denver or ask Boston, it could be worse. As a top 4 seed struggling in round 1. So Cleveland up to 4%. You would like to see in this series one game where their alleged big 4, all 4 play well, and Donovan Mitchell has to get back going. They don't have to get Mobley and Allen going. They have to get Donovan Mitchell going.
Yep.
Don't reveal the next slice yet. Check the Title Pie archives on our YouTube page that Gianna beautifully curates. What you're going to see is a team that's always had a slice, no matter what, much to the chagrin of that side of the table and the pie in their teeth laughing at me. Up to 5%. We always believed in you. Philadelphia 76ers.
That's actually true, I think.
It is true.
Never as high as 5%.
No. But there was I gave them a 0.5% at one point, and you guys got mad at me. And I said, what if when healthy, this team could be scary. Maxey's awesome. Paul George is rejuvenated and rested. And if Embiid comes back, and the idea was, unlike the other injuries he's had, appendicitis isn't going to flare up again. It's not like, oh yeah, he came back from an injured knee, re-injured.
He looks better.
The organs and bio waste. It's gone.
Looks more active than I've seen him in years.
It is. What do they do with it?
I don't know if you keep it or not.
You don't keep the appendix. It's inflamed. It's going to burst. They got to get rid of it. They put it in the little thing where you use needles.
Where does that stuff go?
Bio waste. Down to 6%, and I feel badly about it. The Timberwolves. If we get news, now listen, they call Anthony Edwards evidently in Minnesota Wolverine because of how quickly he heals. If he comes back, change this to 10%. If he comes back, I think they could beat the Spurs. I'm not saying they would be the favorite, but the Spurs, Brew, I know you're not a gambler, are I think like minus 2,500 for the series, meaning you'd have to risk
with the injuries. With the injuries, and it's not. I mean, Ant's the main one, but
no, it's not just him. And Dante, it is not coming back. Right. Obviously, shout out to him though for being at the game.
That was awesome.
Foot all elevated. So I feel badly. They've won the series and their slice got smaller, but their best player's out, and so now they didn't say he was out for a month. They say he's out for a few weeks. We'll see if maybe you can change that few weeks to a couple weeks and they extend the series. Who knows? They're down to 6%. Down to 7%, Los Angeles Lakers. Now, the biggest reason for their slice getting smaller for me, is the latest Luka updates. I had been operating as if there was a chance Luka could be back at the end of round 1 and he would be back for round 2. Now, that needs to be updated to there's a chance he's back late in round 2, and if he's not back, I'm not sure there will be a late part of round 2. So this is not about the fact that they are only up 3-2 as much as it's about they have the Thunder waiting for them once they get past the Rockets, and Luka seems not as close as I thought he would be. The original reporting was that Luka would be back before Austin.
Right.
Austin is, about to have his second game back, and Luka's far away. Down all the way to 10%. And maybe you guys think this is too big of a slice. Boston. They get through this series. I think I like their chances against the Knicks. I'm not sure they're getting through this series, though. Brew has me all of a sudden more concerned about Tatum than I was an hour ago. And the flip side to the style they play, they can truly beat anybody, obviously. But they also are just it's so unlikely they're going to have an easy series at any point. Mm-hmm. Again, they did the year they won the title, haven't since then. Last week, this team had 1%. The New York Knickerbockers, 12%.
Wow.
The biggest slice of anyone in the Eastern
They were on
Conference.
death's door.
They were on death's door.
They were, legitimately.
And they responded by being up 50 in the first half. And you joked about how your kids' league would turn the scoreboard off. Mm-hmm. What is true of watching the Hawks attempt to just get shots up, it reminded me of, sometimes you see clips of it's usually a legendary female basketball player when her high school highlights, and it's just like just her stealing the ball, getting layup, you know what I mean, just doing where the other team is like, what are we gonna do here? I've never seen an NBA team in a spot like that struggle just to get up shots for extended periods of time. The Knicks did it en route to also scoring 140. Only 2 teams left. Half the pie's left. Up to 20%. The San Antonio Spurs. Wemby leading a team to a championship in year 3 is more than just on the board. It's almost the center. I'm not saying it's the turkey on Thanksgiving, but it might be the ham. It's not the centerpiece of the table, but it's right there. It is. Why are you giving me that look?
Well, just keep going. No, I just didn't know we were going to another food analogy, but keep going.
What do you mean? What was the other food?
He's hungry.
Well, there's a huge pie on the table.
I forgot
And
about
now you're
that,
talking
sorry.
about Thanksgiving
Good
and hams and turkeys.
All right, good point.
Well, what do you mean by that? And all not joking around.
I'm saying
What is-
if the NBA playoffs are your Thanksgiving table, the Thunder, who we're going to reveal in a moment, get to be the centerpiece. They're the favorites, the biggest thing. But some people's favorite, the next biggest thing.
Just to play it out.
Yeah.
Who's the pie?
The Lakers.
Great.
30% the favorites, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are rested, who are chilling, whose second best player is dealing with a hamstring, and nobody seems to be concerned about it because they win 81% of their games. He doesn't.
Healing by the minute.
That is May 1st, title pie brew.
Pie is pretty good. It's pretty good, especially with now the bylaws. I know you have to put everybody in there, so I like it. I am going to
No bonus
say,
take?
well, maybe a little later.
Okay.
My main take is I'm splitting the top two slices. 25% for the Thunder, 25% for the Spurs. I'm doing that because Jalen Williams, a little banged up with the hammy, so that's their second best player for OKC. And look, I've said it many times, I've seen a team dominate the regular season against an opponent and then lose to them in the playoffs. But I think all of us, I think the basketball world, no one was thinking of the Spurs as a legitimate contender until they started beating the Thunder regularly.
That is correct.
Right? And then it got to a point where the Thunder like, all right, look, enough of this. We're winning it. And they still kept losing. They won 1 out of 5. So I think that the Spurs, I think their perimeter players are more talented than OKC's outside of Shea. So I'd give the Spurs at this point, I'm going to put them both at 25%. I'll give a little nod to the OKC, keep them at, even though I think the Spurs might beat them because of their experience. Bonus take. Philadelphia, I am moving up, Nick, right below Boston. I'm giving them 9%.
Wow.
Boston's 10, I'm giving them 9. Don't ask me to do the math.
I got you. Don't worry about
Minnesota, I'm moving a little lower at 4%.
Okay.
Okay. How many does he have?
Well, there's 2. Now we're at 102%.
Yeah, you got 2% to play with.
Don't worry about the math.
I get that. The point you were making about the Thunder and about the Spurs beating the Thunder is what announced them to the world. I think is totally correct. I also think that third meeting was one of the only regular season games this year that actually mattered. Where it was when the Spurs.
And that was the one OKC won.
Because I'm talking about. Maybe I have it wrrong in my head.
Spurs winning in Oklahoma City.
It was the Spurs beat them twice, and then they played a third time, and it was clear the Thunder had their full attention, and they beat them anyway. So
there was.
And so that's maybe I have the order of it wrong, but that's the game that to me it's like, oh wow. So yeah, there is something there. Go ahead, KW.
Who has the Pistons going to the finals?
Me.
I guess I'm the Pistons guy. You had 2% to play with, and you won't even up the Pistons to 4%.
No,
You're the Magic. You're the Magic guy.
Oh, shoot.
You literally are the Magic guy.
You
can't be the Magic and the
number
Pistons guy.
1 seeds. So I'm going to move the Pistons up to about more than the Lakers percent. I'll give them
Why do you always pick
8%.
on the Lakers?
I'll tell you why. Because defense wins championships. And we've talked a lot about, you know what? What is Cade supposed to do? Nobody can score the ball. Well, here's the other idea. Just limit the other team from scoring the ball. In the regular season, the top 4 defensive ratings, Thunder, great defense. Pistons, Spurs, Celtics. We just need to play good Detroit basketball.
The Pistons are now a we for you?
For the sake of this segment.
My
yes.
God.
We've seen Cade act like a superstar. I was the only one with the gall to say, hey, how about if you're on first team All-NBA, you play like you're on first team All-NBA and put the team on your back and score. They did.
He'll be
scored 45 points. So you just need to do that 2 more times. Finally, Game 5. Was it an aberration or was it actually how the Pistons play? Regular season, they shoot 48.5% from the field. Game 5 against the Magic, they did exactly that. 3 points percentage, about 5%. Did the exact same thing, 35.7. Games 1 through 4, they were down at 42%. In three-pointers, they were under 28%. So Game 5 wasn't this offensive explosion.
Well, it was for Cade, though.
It was for Cade, but
not
as a team, that's just how they play. So that's actually who you are. We haven't even had the Pistons' offensive explosion game yet.
I don't know if that's coming.
Have from Cade. Well, Orlando's been playing sneaky good defense, too. So play good defense, Cade be a star, and have an offensive explosion game. And this is headed back to Detroit.
I think, you know who Detroit planned on having, and then, for tough reasons they didn't have this year, is Malik Beasley.
Yeah.
And they ended up pivoting to Duncan Robinson, and Beasley, in this series, just his three-point shooting and floor spreading would have been so valuable, because that's why they have Duncan out there. Duncan's not, Duncan's getting picked on defense and isn't bringing that to him there. That is a piece that it feels like, if they had
Maybe
it.
he has the big game.
Duncan Robinson?
Yeah, we're due for one of those.
I mean,
I would.
Maybe.
I think that would be hard.
7 for 10?
Duren is really due. Duren's highest scoring game of the series is 12 points.
He's due.
Listen.
He's very due.
I also do wonder, Duren is in such a slump, I wonder if some of the social media stuff he's dealing with with his personal relationship life is getting in his head.
Jalen, turn it off. I know it's hard for young people.
I want, and I don't say that in any mocking way at all. It's just he was so good and so solid all year, and it's such an odd thing because of his relationships or former relationships, what he's dealing with. I just wonder if it's in his head a little bit.
Coming up next, what's next for Jokic and the Nuggets? Some first things first.
This episode is brought to you by Welch's Fruit Snacks. Big news for your kids' lunchbox. Welch's Fruit Snacks are now made without any artificial dyes. A snack parents can feel good about and the same delicious taste kids can't get enough of. All made with no artificial dyes. Try Welch's Fruit Snacks today.
This is a cool project. Go behind the scenes with Arrow McLaren at the 2026 Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. Newest episode of All In. The show explores the high-stakes world of the third seat, legal fallout of Alex Palou's contract saga to the arrival of Nolan Siegel. Pato O'Ward, Christian Lundgaard, and Siegel navigate one of the toughest street circuits in racing under the watchful eye of Zach Brown. Head to IndyCar on Fox YouTube to check it out. Right now, we're back to the NBA playoffs. Joker season's over. And while he'll literally get back on the horse, we're not sure Denver should try to do the same.
That's pretty good.
Here's Joker when he was asked about his future in Denver.
I still want to be Nuggets forever.
Is it safe to assume you will plan to sign that extension then when they offer it to you?
I still want to be Nuggets forever.
Very curious. Denver is the only team to win the title, then win 50 games for the next 3 years and not reach a conference finals. Does anyone think their window has closed?
So, I do think for this iteration of the team, it's closed. And I think it's maybe more instructive if we look at it as that it opened way before they actually won. They were real contenders starting in 2020 when they made the conference finals.
That's an interesting way to look
at it. And so that means they had 7 years of contention. 7 postseasons where they were in the mix. The 2020, they lose in the conference finals. 2021, Jamal gets hurt in the playoffs and he misses the 2022 playoffs. They win the title in 23. 24, they're the favorites and they blow it against the Timberwolves in really gross fashion. Last year, they lose in 7 to OKC, and this year they get popped in round 1. That's 7 years of being in the mix. 2 were lost because of Jamal's injury. And you don't have a bunch of picks. You don't have good young players.
You fired your coach already.
Yeah, and so I think, now, will Joker ever compete for another title? I think he certainly could. I think he'll be good enough long enough. But here's the question I wanted to ask you, Brew, because we talked to this a little bit off the air, but I want to bring it on the air. This era of basketball, the players whose regular season stats and accolades are here, and postseason success is, somewhere else. The guys that come to mind are James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Two guys who their regular season stats are historically great, and the playoff stats and success is not in line with it. And for both of those guys, they get hit with, for Harden, some of it's like choking stuff, but it's like, that style, that heliocentric. One guy does everything, fills up all the box score, but every possession goes through him. That doesn't work come the playoffs. Joker's obviously won a ring, and he's an all-time great player. We've talked about that. But his usage is neck and neck with those guys. He also has this regular season resume that's unimpeachable. All those guys have won the MVP. Joker's won multiple. I do think it's fair to ask, is having one guy be responsible for everything you do on offense, does that have diminishing returns come the postseason unless that guy is peak LeBron James? Because he also was, I'm going to control everything, but he is a different level of player than these guys. And so nobody ever hits Jokic with the stuff they hit Harden and Russ with. And again, he's won, so I understand it. But I think there's a similarity there, Brew, that warrants at least looking into.
I think that's fair. Jokic doesn't over-dribble like a lot of the guys you mentioned, but he does touch it on every possession. Like I said, he's the first point center.
Yep.
And I think that's a fair question. I actually think LeBron would have won more championships had he not played that way.
Really?
Yeah, I think had he played more, he would have averaged 30 and 8 and 7, regardless of how he played. But had he been a part of a system rather than the system, I think he'd have won more championships and maybe universally regarded as the GOAT. So I do think that style, which is very commonplace today, it's not just the guys we've mentioned. I don't know. Jokic is different in that he passes it rather than dribbles. But you look at guys that won. I mean, Magic had a role. Bird had a role. Jordan even was in a system.
And even dating, I'm not saying, sorry, Wild, don't get mad. Even dating all the way back to Oscar. Oscar didn't win the way that you would have thought, even though he had this. It is just a unique thing that Joker never gets tagged with it. But I do wonder if there is something about being everything to your team offensively that works better in the regular season than the postseason, which to answer part of this question is, like, is there a tweak that not just, this is more about like the Nuggets roster, but a tweak to how Jokic plays that could be good for them moving forward? I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's fair to bring up in this context.
Because you see, when Minnesota last night is a prime example of these are all NBA players, and I'm not saying they all could be all-stars, but any given moment or night, a guy can step up. And when one guy does everything, that limits what some other guys can do because they're just playing off of him. And so that's a long conversation. But look, I don't think the window's over. I tend to agree with you that this group of players, they need to move on and make some changes. But I think as long as Jokic is in his prime, they will be in the mix, so to speak. I don't see this as a Milwaukee situation where Giannis is still great in his prime, but part of it with Giannis are the injuries, and while he's light years ahead of Jokic defensively, he has some offensive limitations that can make things tough for his team offensively that Jokic doesn't. I think, though, they need to obviously if I could make changes to that team going into the next season, you have to get some athletes. We've been talking about Peyton Watson like he's Scottie Pippen. My goodness, if they just had Peyton Watson, right? They need some athletic defenders because that was a huge advantage for Minnesota. Is that they were, they're not going to have that advantage.
Aaron Gordon goes.
He's right. So they need some, they don't have to be phenomenal players, but athletes, 3-and-D guys, which aren't easy to get, but that's what they need. And then they do. I know their offense was great. You obviously couldn't rely on Jamal Murray, in this series. They need a scorer, too, that can alleviate some of the pressure from Jokic. I mean, look, Kevin Durant, I would not go for Kawhi, who would be perfect if I could count on him. I just can't. I don't know that I can count on Kawhi's health. But he would be perfect because he'd bring defense too. But look, Durant, Devin Booker, doubt they can get LeBron. Obviously, if he would go there, that'd be great. What about if Cleveland loses soon? What about a Donovan Mitchell? I mean, do they look to mix things up? Now, I don't know that Denver can make these moves.
So Denver, right, believe it or not, Denver owes 2 draft picks to the Thunder. And
unbelievable.
It's just every team that doesn't have draft picks, it's because the Thunder have them. I also think that they don't have a young player on the roster that teams would be super excited for. Right. Peyton Watson teams want, but he's about to be a restricted free agent. Christian Brown is a negative asset because of the contract. 5 years, $125 million. And then Strother or Najee, those guys don't have value on the trade market is what I'm saying. And Aaron Gordon is now, it's like, man, is he going to make it to the end of years? And he's so important to them. I just think that this team build is stuck. And I think that their missed opportunity was the year they were defending their title. And they were up 3-2 in that series, and they lost Game 6 by 35. I'm sorry, incorrect. They lost Game 6 by 45, and then they blew a 20-point lead in Game 7, and that was their moment.
Jaden McDaniels told us they're all bad defenders.
Yeah.
And he was right.
Yeah. And he backed it up.
Yeah. All right. Game 7, Saturday night in Boston. Now, the good news, if you're a Celtics fan, is that Boston is a perfect 3-0 against Embiid. But you know what we say, Brew, on this side of the table? We believe in due dates. Here's Joel Embiid.
I've been paying these guys for so long. I'm tired of losing to them. So we have a chance to accomplish, something special. I mean, they're a great team, and you look at everything they have. That's a super team. So we just got to go in there with the mindset we've had for the last, 2 games.
What would losing this series mean for the Celtics?
Well, first, let me say this. When I saw that Philly was playing so well and it looked like they're going to win, and it was like, we got a Game 7, I got hungry. Ramsey, the platter.
The platter?
What are we doing?
What?
What is this?
What is going on?
What? How does this look? Look at that
how
stuff.
Many food segments?
Burgers, tacos,
what is this?
Wings, and fries, and onion rings. What is Game 7?
Oh, gosh.
Delicious.
Delicious. Delicious. This is
how much
Game 7 is, folks.
We just
take a good look.
Expense food and call it props.
I'm actually gonna eat this stuff.
Yeah,
for
we
real.
know.
This looks delicious.
This is not good content.
Dinner tonight.
It doesn't even narratively make sense.
It also doesn't need to be this. Is this multiple restaurants? There's tacos, onion
burger. Wow.
We could. Okay.
Is it not delicious?
Is that the analysis?
No, I'm just saying. That's just leading me into my analysis.
Okay, well, get to
Game 7 is delicious.
We get
especially this one.
Yeah.
So what was the question? What would losing this series mean for the Celtics?
Gosh. He doesn't have anything.
I do.
He doesn't. He's making it up in his head right now. He's making it up. He's said all your mental energy.
I'm getting ready for the night. I'm getting ready for the
Dusty, do not do this stuff anymore.
Go to Nick. I'm getting ready for the game.
It doesn't even make sense.
The game is Saturday.
During the game.
It doesn't.
Tonight's game.
Yeah.
The Lakers.
Oh, you think?
Okay.
Oh, I can feed it. Maybe they need to play a different style.
Yeah. So here is that is what the offseason would be about for Boston. A referendum on the way they play. And a referendum about, and this is the point Brew has made when he splits time between cogent analysis and just utter absurdity that doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Hey, this is some good.
We just had pecan pie, bro. Which is, do they need to adjust the types of players they're going after?
Yes.
And
but what does that mean? Because it's all like athletic wings who shoot threes and play defense.
Are they that athletic?
I don't know that
they're not that athletic.
I don't think it's a bunch of athletic wings. I think it's a bunch of somewhat undersized shooters.
Yeah.
Guys who can fit the role. There are, and this is a compliment and an insult, I guess. There are a lot of guys on Boston who, of all 30 teams in the league, are the absolute best versions of themselves with Boston.
Yes.
You know, like Draymond, I disagree with his analysis of his own career in some way, but Draymond this week was like, hey, essentially, what would my career have been if I would have been somewhere they featured me in the offense? Now, and so while I think that specific instance or example is a bad one, there are certain guys where it's like, oh, you know, he's a B- in the system he's in, but in a different system, like Jalen Brunson with the Mavs versus Jalen Brunson with the Knicks is maybe an example. So I think Boston has done a great job of knowing the way they want to play, targeting guys who are undervalued by the rest of the league because they play a different way. And I think for this regular season in particular, that was a super smart way to go about it. But the most important thing in modern basketball is athletic, switchable, two-way wings. And they've got two of them in Tatum and Brown, so you can play a bunch of different ways. Right. The other thing losing this series would mean, if I'll just say it quickly, Jaylen Brown in December or January said, I'm the best two-way player in the league. Mm-hmm. He just offered it up. I'm the best two-way player in the league. He hasn't been the best two-way player in this series. And Maxey, nobody can stay in front of Maxey, including Jaylen Brown.
That might be the world.
And last three games.
Yes, I mean, that's fair.
Last 3 games, Jalen's averaging 20 points on 40% shooting. They need him to step up.
Right. I mean, you could argue that in this series, Paul George has outplayed him.
Yep.
And so that's a problem. So like that.
Can I show you one quick look-ahead graphic? I know we're talking about if they lose.
We're talking about cheesesteaks.
And we're talking about cheesesteak. And they do look delicious.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we ever, last time Tatum played Game 7 against the Sixers, it was a blowout, and he had a historically great playoff game for him. So
for anyone.
It's
the most points in a Game
7
ever.
record.
Yeah.
So, Brew, you were kicking around. It was a very prudent take on Tatum's health. I feel like if I was Jason Tatum, I scored 51 points against this team. What are your expectations for Tatum if he plays? I know you would consider sitting him.
No, I would definitely consider sitting him. I'm not the doctors. I'm not examining him and all that. It just scares me. The other leg, calf injury, we know what that can lead to. Yeah. I'd just be extra careful. But assuming he plays, he's had huge games in clutch moments.
Yes.
Was it Milwaukee went for 46?
Yes, Game 6 against Milwaukee.
So I expect him to play well.
Yeah, zoom in on this food that makes no sense for the second.
It's delicious. It makes all the sense in the world.
Delicious. Yeah. It does make sense now that I think about it.
It's a lot of food. He's really going to eat it.
I'm definitely
There's also no reason to have 2 platters. Okay, Rick, let's just get to LeBron.
For you. Wow.
One crunchy bite of a Hershey's Cookies and Cream Bar, and I'm taken right back to college move-in day. I was a little overwhelmed by the newness of it all. Boxes were everywhere, I needed a break from unpacking. But just as I was able to take a breath and open my Hershey's Cookies and Cream Bar, my new roommate Rachel walked in. I offered her a piece, but she said no. Then after a beat, she said, actually, those are my favorite ones. We laughed. The ice was broken, and we've been friends ever since.
Hershey's. It's your happy place.
Lakers in Houston tonight as the Rockets try to win 3 in a row. Jabari Smith is not thinking about Game 7. Kind of thinking about it, but not really. Take a listen.
We just think about Game 6. We think about tonight. Think about doing the things that we got to do to win. Put on a show for our fans. Represent the city well. We're not thinking about Game 7. We'll think about it tonight when we got to pack our bags. But we're not thinking about it right now.
Not thinking about it right now, but when I pack my bags, I will because we're going to win. All right. Only 16 of 160 teams have forced a Game 6. Rockets have already done that. Only 4 have forced a Game 7. Game 7 would be Sunday. What would losing this series mean for LeBron?
It should mean nothing. It would mean a lot. Listen, I thought it was when the Lakers went up 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
you had people, serious people I respect and like, saying, you know what? I've never thought LeBron was the GOAT, but if they win this series, it'll change my opinion. And I thought that was pretty ridiculous, to be totally honest. Even though I want people to change their opinion, I think it's the right opinion. I think that if you were like 23 years of evidence, I'm undecided or not undecided. I'm decided against. But a good 10 days against a dysfunctional Rockets team, that'll do it. I thought that was foolishness. But people were saying it. And the flip side of that coin is, folks will say, if you're the first guy ever to blow a 3-0 lead, no matter the circumstances, the age, the fact that you were a huge dog to begin with, any of it, well, then you can't be the GOAT. Like that's the train that's coming down the tracks if they lose. It will be brought up alongside losing record in the finals and the 2011 finals series, which the 2011 finals is the one, to me, fair, criticism in the, I think the 10 finals appearances is not a bad thing, but set that aside. It will be brought up, Brew. I know how that discussion works, and I think that's inevitable.
To me, it'll mean nothing. I mean, he's 41 years old, and he's obviously playing great. Michael Jordan, the guy I think is the GOAT, the guy LeBron's competing with for that mythical GOAT title, didn't even make the playoffs his last 2 years in Washington. So it would be ridiculous.
Didn't blow a 3-0 lead either.
He didn't get a chance, all right?
Man, if he was up 3-0.
But my point is, now you do make a good point in that people will bring up LeBron's record in the finals 4 and 6, and then as they're trying to go down what they see as his deficiencies, they will mention first. I had not thought about that because I think any sensible basketball analyst or fan will realize, no, this is not a ding on LeBron's legacy. I mean, again, he's 41 years old and they were the heavy underdogs. All right, so I get it. You don't want that on your resume. But there are things on people. How about Shaq? Shaq holds the record for most times being swept in a series. Him and Pau Gasol, 6. Does anybody think about that? You just think about Shaq's rings. Now, he's not in the GOAT conversation, but.
And so here's the reason it's illogical, KW, and I think you agree with me it's illogical, but you also think it would be a little fair to bring up.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair to bring up, unfortunately.
So no one, I don't think anyone, even the most ardent LeBron critics, would have used against him if they had just been flat swept this series.
Correct.
If they had lost 4-0 and just flatly been swept.
That's 100% right.
Because people thought that Danny, I'm not picking on Danny, a lot of people thought they were going to be swept. Without your 2 high leading scorers, you're the big underdogs, all that. So logically, it doesn't make sense to then use against the fact that they won 3 games. Right. But logically, it doesn't make sense to say when people are like lost 6 times in the finals, when the end of that sentence is, so it would have been better for him in 2018 not to beat the Celtics by playing 48 minutes. Logically, that doesn't make sense. But a lot of this stuff has never been operated on logically.
I know, but
well, there are things, and I think it'd be ridiculous to hold this against LeBron, but it's the difference if you average a triple-double, but you barely miss averaging a triple-double because you had 9.8 assists a game. You know what I mean? Like, there are little numbers that.
I think it's like if you were a successful businessman and you lost, $1 million. That is worse than never having $1 million business. Live from New York, it's First Things First overtime. Hawks lose by 50. How does Danny feel about
everything?
Whoops.
His life?
Tough
decisions?
Oh, no. You're evenly matched. They're going 7. I told you.
Whoops. Meanwhile, how should the Celtics feel about a Game 7, a delicious game segment, Game 7? And finally, what would a Lakers collapse mean for LeBron
for J.J. Redick.
Oh, just looking at the
For
negative.
Jake LaRavia. How would this affect Jake LaRavia?
Give me a break.
Alongside Chris Broussard, I'm Kevin Wilds, Nick Wright, and Danny Parkins, who's going to have to pay for some bad predictions. I'm sorry, Parkins, but we're going to start in Denver. Don't worry.
Okay, I'm going to pay for it with my Kentucky Derby winnings.
Who do you have for the Derby?
You know.
Who?
No. Emerging markets. 15-1.
Emerging markets.
Yeah.
This guy wants
he's
to
undefeated.
be a stockbroker so bad.
I'm sorry, he's undefeated in 2 races.
This guy.
He's only ran 2 races.
Yeah, it hasn't been since 1983 that a horse with only 2 races has won the Derby, but it has happened. Emerging markets, 15-1.
This guy just wants to be a stock trader.
Buy low, sell high, Nick.
This guy.
Diversified portfolio.
I don't know that. Denver's done. Joker battled, sometimes literally, but at the end he congratulated everybody and headed home. Wolves coach Chris Finch shared the rallying cry the Wolves use. Take a listen.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Our guys, they took it personal. I mean, Denver had the chance to pick who they wanted to play coming down the stretch, and they chose us. And we used that as a motivation all the way through preparation and through the series. They chose us. They didn't have to choose us. They chose us, and our guys were up for the challenge of that.
It worked.
Can I say something real quick?
Please.
Though before you ask Danny the question, first of all, but when he says Denver chose us, what he means is Denver won. Like Denver, it's not like they lost a game to get Minnesota. Denver got the best seed they could possibly get, the 3 seed. That's
when
first of all.
When they beat the Spurs.
When they beat the Spurs, that's first of all. Second of all, that I will use as piece of evidence A when I'm presenting to the court why all playoff brackets should be decided by drafting your playoff opponent.
Yes.
It creates, even if it's total nonsense, they picked us. How dare they? We're going to show them.
It was my first thought when I saw that. It would add that storyline to every series.
Every series.
It's not great for the 1 seeds, though, if they keep losing.
Except they get to pick. The 1 seed gets the first pick. But again, that's not the topic here. I just wanted to add
the
that.
Suns, they chose us and they swept us.
We see why.
All right, what's next for Jokic?
Well, I assume Jokic and all Nuggets fans are going to have to endure immediately an entire offseason of reckless speculation and trades of demanding Jokic to leave Denver. I mean, that's how it works.
This is the Giannis.
That's the rule.
This is his mid-draft.
I'm sorry. Is that not the rule for the international superstar drafted to the small market team who wins 1 title but multiple MVPs, but ultimately hasn't lived up to team success because they fired their coach in controversial fashion, because his running mates have been injured at inopportune times? Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Damian Lillard, Chris Middleton. Is that not the rule? I mean, Jokic could have signed a contract extension last year.
His brothers are always in the building.
We should have consulted on this. Jokic could have signed the contract extension last year. Now, it was a smart thing financially. He was 3 for $212. He held out. Now it could be 4 for $293. But when asked last night if he was going to sign it, he just said, I want to be a Nugget for life. So I assume we have to admit the countdown. Will he sign the extension?
Yes.
If not, is he going to turn down the player option? If he turns down the player option, next year's the summer of Jokic.
That last part's all true. If he doesn't sign the extension, it becomes a huge story.
It becomes the number 1 story.
Yeah, if he doesn't sign the extension, I totally agree. And I do think what you're saying is partially true in this regard. If in 2 more years, when we are 2 more years removed from them winning the title, they still don't look like contenders, then moving Jokic will become a story. Your Giannis comp works, except for Giannis just completed phase 3 of the post-title part. Jokic is in phase 1.5. It's not just because the Bucks won in 21 and they won in 23, but the Bucks also did the Dame panic move. Yeah. That's where I think that's what I think is coming. Is the
interesting.
But it should also come with the speculation and the pressure and the scorn.
What? Hold on, Danny.
Well,
but that
also
didn't
let's see if the Denver fans boo Jokic. Yeah. And let's see if they hold him out when he wants to play. I mean, all this other
Giannis
stuff
was not where it was. The pressure and the scorn in 2024. Right. We are 3 years removed from him winning a title. We are 5 years removed from Giannis winning a title. So I do think your point of, if they look at any point as stuck as Milwaukee is, then the question will become, is he fine never winning another ring? But we are not, we're not there yet. But they are to the, oh man, we better make a significant move like the Bucks did in acquiring Dame, because we're not that close. We thought we were close. We're not.
Because they're still, unlike Milwaukee, they're still winning 50 games a year.
That's,
you know what I mean?
No doubt. That is true.
And they're in the tougher conference. Now this loss is unforgivable, but you can understand them losing to OKC or whoever. Yeah. Whereas in Milwaukee, it was some losses that you.
It was lost to an 8 seed when Giannis got hurt.
There's a little difference. I think you would.
I know it is not exactly apples to apples, but it's not apples to bowling balls, and we will see what happens with Jokic and the contract and how firmly committed he is. And I mean, is Adelman the coach when we come back on the air on Monday?
I don't know,
because Mike Malone does not lose that series. He does not lose that series without the Timberwolves starting backcourt.
Remember, I think the owner came in and made the call to change Michael Malone.
It was the owner came in and fired both. It was Michael Malone and Calvin Booth. Evidently, it was a toxic work environment, and it was a power struggle. And he's like, you know what? You're both capped.
So I wonder if you're like, whew, that was a bad call. Who made that call? Like, whew. I made that call. But I do think it's having a little arms, if the GM makes the call to hire the coach, then you can come in over the top. But if you just hired him, you're going to fire him already?
But the thing was, what's interesting, they didn't really, it wasn't the normal hire. He was the interim. And then they won a series against the Clippers, and then lost in 7 to OKC, which was like, oh, that's almost like a win. Right. And then he gets the job. But they didn't. I think that's an easier guy. The interim who gets the job full time is an easier guy to fire after a year than we did a full search, all these interviews, and this is the guy.
Here comes Tibbs.
But I want to ask you this in all seriousness, because I do think this part is a very fair comp and discussion to have. Are the Nuggets as stuck as the Bucks were 2 years ago? We still have this.
No.
Well, hold on.
The Christian Brown.
We still have this legendary player.
Yeah.
Who's in his prime. What all else do we have? That was the question the Bucks had, because they didn't have good emerging young players. They had traded away draft picks, and they didn't have a clear way that they were going to keep up with Boston or New York or Cleveland. It looked like
Jamal Murray, Damian Lillard.
Jamal. It would kind of be more Jamal Murray, like Drew Holiday, and then they trade Drew and they move off Chris and they bring in Dame. Like that's. I do think maybe they're not team for team, player for player in the same spot, but when you add. The East didn't have a San Antonio and OKC standing there. They had Boston and some, possibilities. It does feel like they are in a very similar place as Milwaukee a couple of years ago when they lost to Miami in round one, a 1-8 in a series. Giannis got hurt.
So a bit of a creative writing exercise. I think it is fun to kick around some potential names on how you would fix this team. Do you have any suggestions, Danny?
He's the heart and soul of their team, but I think Aaron Gordon is the piece that makes the most sense to move.
Really? I'm shocked by that.
But his injury history might make him.
Why? I know,
but I wasn't expecting that one.
Well, can someone? But when he's healthy, he's awesome, and he fits the modern NBA perfectly. But can you actually trust him to stay healthy? I do think a team would be interested, because he's only $32 million next year. It's a relatively good contract if he's healthy. Jamal Murray and Jokic is probably the best two-man offensive game in the NBA right now. I think that's probably a pretty safe, universally held opinion based on how Jamal Murray played this season. So I don't think you're moving Jamal Murray. Jokic, that's like the one thing he gave a full endorsement of last night. He's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure me and Jamal, our game still works. If you can get a more dependable piece for Aaron Gordon in terms of
if you're not moving Joker, and if Joker wants, if you like the Joker Murray two-man game like Danny said, Gordon's the only piece of value.
Gordon is not being on the court is why they lost.
Right, but if
he's been
I don't know how you
so
upgrade
banged
from
up.
Aaron Gordon.
That'd be
Well,
tough.
By a
someone
guy who
who's
can
available.
play.
Yeah, by someone
Man,
who's
tough one.
I mean, it's back-to-back.
That's why they're in a tough
What
spot.
do you think? Now, I don't know that this is even possible necessarily, but what do you think about Durant there? He wouldn't have to lead.
I mean, that
All he
feels
has to do is
just
score.
like Dame.
It
feels just like
feels
the
desperate.
Dame.
Except
It feels
I'd
desperate.
have, theoretically, I'd have Jamal as well.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
And I get it. It is a little desperate, but Durant still can fill it up.
Are
and
they
he wouldn't
gonna-
have to be the leader.
Peyton Watson's a restricted free agent. They're going to want to figure out a way to match him. The Christian Brown contract is a problem. That kicks in next year for 5 for $125. They probably got to move off with Cam Johnson. They got to move off of him.
I don't know. And the other thing looming over
they're in a
all
tough
this
spot.
is the owner. Remember last year when the owner said, and I know we got to move on. I'll be very quick. When the owner was like, "We never want to have to talk about losing Nikola Jokic," and we were all like, "Why would you say that?"
I forgot
and it was,
about that.
and it was
Right.
because he was like, he said it in the context of we can't be a second apron team. Well, if you're not willing to be a second apron team, and you gave Christian Brown that money, and you want to keep Peyton Watson, now you're running out of things you actually can do. And so,
really quick before we move on to make fun about Danny's Hawks prediction.
Okay.
Earlier in the show, we played the clip of Joker saying something to the extent of, we're far away. That's not my business. Do you think that he should take a heavier hand in the decisions of the team?
I'm glad you brought that up because I don't necessarily love when players go, I need more help, this and that. But those are the guys that get it done, and he's like, to me, he's going to be a Nugget for basically his whole career, if not his whole career. And he's like Dirk, but I do think if they were more afraid of losing him, I think they'd be making better moves. Now, I know it's tough with their financial situation, but I just think when a guy puts pressure on you like that, you make moves.
and their financial situation is just what they don't want to pay as much in taxes. Some teams.
I think
it's not like they have
a
poor
considerable
owners.
amount of money.
I think the
Among the
Kroenkes
richest.
own them. I think
Among
the
the
Kroenkes
richest.
have their own
Several
money, and
teams.
I'm pretty sure they're married into the Walton family. I think they got a lot of money. I don't think money's a problem.
Meanwhile, in Atlanta.
Right, so he should start making noise.
This one got ugly. But maybe this blowout was a sign of things to come. Only 2 teams have had 50-point wins in the regular season and the playoffs. The Bucks won the title.
What a graphic.
And now the Knicks, so it's basically a guarantee. Parkins, you had Hawks in 7.
And not only that, was so certain of it, was talking about how we're going to blow up the Knicks. How the Knicks are going to have to admit they're not close.
Yeah.
And Brunson and Cat can't work as your duo, and you've got to make a big move.
At least I didn't bet the Hawks.
No, that's true. Yeah, go ahead.
I got it wrong.
Yeah.
Would you rather lose by 1 or lose by 47?
It was bad.
It's a tale as old as time. I got it wrong. The Knicks befuddled me all year. I found them to be poorly constructed and maddeningly inconsistent, and I didn't believe in them. And they lost 2 of the first 3 to the Hawks, and I definitely peacocked a little bit and said I was right, and it was over. And then the Knicks played their best basketball of the year. Like, that's what happened. And I got to say, I don't know if you didn't play this soundbite, but Karl Anthony Towns after the game, we can play it, he kind of backed up what I've been saying about this team all season. Oh, yeah, he sure did. Take a listen.
It's been up and down, ebbs and flows of the season. It's understandable the fans didn't know what version they would see of us, especially after during this series, we didn't play our best basketball.
I was, the way you led into that, I was expecting him to say, yeah, I thought the Hawks were going to be
said no one knew what to expect. They're not a consistent team.
Well, he said over the course of 88 games.
And the series. And they didn't play their best basketball.
But do you believe in them now?
No. And by the way, neither does Vegas.
What?
Throw up the odds.
If you can't believe in a team after a 50-point win.
Okay. Boston's got a game 7. They're the favorite. The Cavs are still alive. Why not? This is not a consistent basketball team.
Danny,
they beat the Hawks.
They believe in Detroit more than Orlando, too.
Hold on. And what that also is that it's Vegas. What that graphic says is Vegas still thinks the Celtics are awesome. Because the Knicks odds are hurt by the fact that Vegas clearly thinks Celtics are going to win their game 7 and that they're the best team. But if for the odds notwithstanding, you would be stunned if the Knicks win the East.
Listen, you advance. I'm not going to say totally stunned. They are playing great basketball. The version of the Knicks the last 3 games can win the East.
Well, that's the most important version.
Okay, but the 3 games before that team cannot win the East.
Which team is consistent in the East?
No, I said that yesterday about when we were talking about the Cavs. There is no consistent team. So you picked the Celtics, you picked the Pistons, I picked the Cavs. I forget.
Celtics.
You picked the Celtics. So none of us believed in the Knicks.
Well, yeah, none of us thought the Knicks were going to win the East. There is a big delta between are they your pick to win the East and do you think they're fun? Like even right now, you said that they are. You didn't understand how they were built or something.
Yeah,
like that. I think the way I totally understand the way they were built. They have. Their 2 best offensive players are defensive liabilities, so they paid 200 cents on the dollar to get long, switchable wings to cover up those liabilities. And in this series and in last year's playoffs, through certainly the Celtics series, it was like, oh, this is exactly what we were trying to build. I thought the Celtics were better than they've shown to be this postseason. We'll see if it's an aberration or not. But I'm surprised that you're still so anti the idea behind the Knicks because to me it makes total sense. If you are going to go to war with Brunson and Cat, you have to have the type of roster that they have. Now maybe you just think going to war with Brunson and Cat is a fundamental mistake.
I think that Brunson, he has that 10 for 26 game in him. It's a little Cade-ish. It's a little just too much of him and 7 shots in a game for Towns. And I will give Karl Anthony Towns a lot of credit. For months now, he has been trying on defense. It's not 2 defensive liabilities right now. That was my premise about this team. And I had a hard time believing in anything that I saw at the end of this regular season because of how many teams were tanking. I didn't really put much stock into the second half of this regular season. But Karl Anthony Towns, for a few months now, has been giving consistent defensive effort. And proven by yesterday, that wasn't a great offensive game by him. Now, didn't need it. It was a 50-point game. But he's been really good.
All right. Game 7 in Boston after the Sixers won. It sets up a delicious matchup, as you may have heard. It's going to be on after the Kentucky Derby. Kentucky Derby pick real quick, Danny?
Emerging markets.
Favorites in Game 7, the last 15 instances.
Big yikes.
7 and 8, so Vegas has gotten this one wrong. But the Celtics are 3-1. The rest of the NBA, 4-7. Parkins, what are your thoughts on Game 7 Celtics?
They are the better team, but if I was a Celtics fan, I'd be terrified. This is a coin flip at this point. It is a make or miss league, and they shoot a lot of threes, and they have a tendency to go cold. They're a great team. They're a great talent. They're clearly, I just showed it in the Knicks conversation, they're still the favorites, but there is a common theme through all of their losses. And some of it is good performances by Philly, no doubt. But Boston goes crazy cold for stretches of time, and it allows for just huge flips in the scoring in the game. And we can show all 3 losses, Game 2, Game 5, Game 6, 20 points in a quarter, 11 points in a quarter, 14 points in a quarter, and it's directly correlated with horrific 3-point shooting. So generally speaking, your role players shoot better at home.
The Celtics, though, oddly, would rather be on the road.
Exactly. So how should Celtics fans feel? Like you're going to blow it.
I'm also not sure with Philadelphia whole. I'm not sure the Celtics are the better team.
My goodness gracious.
I mean, you got 2 great players. Philly's got 2 great players. And then Paul George, who's still very good. And then Edgecombe. I mean, Kelly Oubre is a good role player.
Boston's certainly deeper because you just mentioned their 5 players. It's that plus Grimes and a little Drummond. You know, I mean, Nick Nurse is going to play 6.5 guys, and that's it. Boston obviously will play more. I think the Celtics are going to win. I still think the Celtics should win the Eastern Conference. It would really be a bummer if at the end of round 1, both my finals teams are dead. We haven't talked much about the fact that I picked the Nuggets to win the West, and they didn't make it out of round 1. But this would be an unprecedented-ish collapse because the 3-1 comebacks we've seen, what they all have in common is the team that was doing the comeback either was the big favorite in the series or had a legendary player. Like the teams that have come, and so the only low seed to do it had Hakeem Olajuwon and had just traded for Clyde Drexler. They were the defending champs. But the 3-1 comebacks, I can just do it very quickly, in like the modern era, 2 were done by Joker on a 3 seed, 1 done by LeBron James, the other one done by Steph Curry, both of them a 1 seed. The 2-seeded James Harden Rockets did it. Steve Nash and the Suns in 06 against the Lakers did it when they were down 3-1. The 1-seed Detroit Pistons, the one that doesn't really apply,
There's a lot of Game 7s at home. Right?
Of course, yeah. They're the higher seed.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And then when the Heat did it to the Knicks, they didn't have a legendary player, but that was a series in 97, Brew, when all the Knicks got suspended for that stupid Charlie Ward, P.J. Brown fight. And then you have to go back to the, like the 70s and even the 60s with Russell. You don't have 3-1 comebacks where the team down is the huge underdog in the series, and then they rip off 3 straight, including a road Game 7. I understand your point. This Philly team is not a real 7 seed, but it would still be a really, really horrible loss, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Championship pedigree. The part of my heart that likes sport, is kind of rooting for Paul George and Embiid and Maxey.
Wow.
The part of my heart that likes sport.
There's another part of your heart
that says, you know what? There's champions on the other side. There's banners up there.
You're right.
Welcome back to First Things First Overtime. Game 6 of Lakers-Rockets tips off tonight. You might have heard that the Lakers had a 3-0 series lead, but the Rockets have staved off elimination. I love a good staving. Closing the gap to trail now 3-2. And if we look at the teams across history that went down 0-3 in a series, the Rockets are one of only 16 to force a Game 6. And if the Rockets avoid it again, they can be the 5th team to force a Game 7. Senior NBA writer from The Athletic, my old buddy Nick Friedel, joins us now. All right, Nick, we've made it to a Game 6. The pressure now is mounting on both sides. You expect the Lakers to end this thing, or are we seeing a Game 7?
I can't believe I'm saying this, Danny, but I feel like we're headed for a Game 7. And the fact that we're headed there, given what we've seen, is unbelievable because this Rockets team looked like it wanted no part of this series. They looked completely done. The fact that in the span of a week, everybody went, oh my gosh, LeBron, he can still do it at 41. And now it's, oh my gosh, LeBron looks pretty damn old. That's unbelievable. I give the Rockets a hell of a lot of credit because I didn't think they wanted this at all. The fact that we're sitting here and we're real close to that Game 7, I think every bit of pressure is on the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, and it also, just to the eye test, it seems like the younger, more athletic team is figuring it out as the series goes on and getting more comfortable. And then the older team, a lot of those shots, they just looked like tired legs. Like, we can show how the Lakers started. It was clearly an outlier in the positive direction, the shooting at the beginning of the series. Now, you could argue some of these more recent ones are an outlier in the negative direction, so it should come somewhere in the middle. But tired legs, travel day, 1 day off between Game 5 and Game 6, 1 day off between Game 6 and Game 7, a home crowd carrying the Rockets. I'm with you. I'm expecting another bad shooting night for the Lakers and the Rockets to take Game 6.
Danny, the Rockets are talking too.
I like that part of it. Yeah.
When you've got Şengün going, hey, I got your number, and LeBron's going, shut up, man. I don't want to hear it. he is getting under his skin a little bit. And that team that was left for dead completely, that Houston team has some confidence. So the second I started seeing those guys starting to talk at the Lakers and look comfortable like you mentioned, I went, oh, this thing's not over yet. And the fact that they have that energy and he keeps saying, Sengun does, we're not tired, we're ready to go. Let's go on and on and on. I think the Lakers would be very wise to shut this thing down. I just don't believe they can, given the momentum right now.
If I'm in a devil's advocate here, since we both agree with it, this is a weird place to be, but it feels like maybe the Game 5 performance from Austin Reeves was rust, and then he comes fresh legs, all-star caliber score. Like, we could be living in a world where tonight we are watching at around 11 o'clock here on the East Coast. Like, Austin Reeves has 30 and saves Game 6 for the Lakers. Like, I almost expect Reeves to have the bigger game tonight than LeBron because of age and legs and how long the series has been going.
I'm with you, and Reeves needs to show up a heck of a lot more than he did. But, Danny, if you're 41 and you're largely considered the second best player who's ever lived, I don't care who is around you. You need to be the guy to deliver. And LeBron is going to sit there and say, we're feeling fine. Everything's going to be all right. You can say anything you want. He doesn't pay attention. Everybody talking to him. Sure. He knows what's on the line. And he knows that everybody's going to be saying, can the old man do it one more time and carry them across? So, yeah, Reeves needs to play better, and they need to get something more from several other guys on that roster. But it's always going to be LeBron, and he's got to be the one to set the tone and make it happen. And I just don't know this far into the series, however old and however many minutes he's played, I don't know if he's got enough left in the tank to do it at this stage.
Okay, well, so he's been doubted before, and you've covered the league basically his entire career, and you and I both know how the sports take industrial complex works around all things LeBron James. It's a weird spot where, yes, he will be the answer to a trivia question if he loses and is the first team to be, up 3-0 and then lose a series. Never happened in NBA history. It happens to LeBron. We will remember it. It will be the answer to a trivia question that you can win some points at like bar trivia night 10 years into the future. But does that mean that it would have been better for him to have retired last year and not played this year, to not have that trivia question, hung on his resume? Like that seems ridiculous if we are going to hold this against 41-year-old LeBron James when talking about his all-time legacy.
Danny, it is ridiculous, but the take machine is the take machine. It's going to happen.
It pays the bills.
Absolutely, and this is why you get into those conversations. LeBron's no fool. He knows when you are judged against Michael Jordan, every single thing you do, somebody's going to pull out a microscope and go, all right, what really happened here? He has been very good throughout most of this year at age 41. The fact that they got up 3-0 in this series is a credit to him and what he can still do. Having said that, if this Lakers team blows a 3-0 lead to this Rockets team and you don't even have Durant on the floor, good luck to LeBron scrubbing this one out, because this will be a stain on a lot of what he has done. I know people say, well, his legacy was secure, but nobody can come back from this kind of deficit. And if it's LeBron as the leader of this team allowing the Rockets that everybody had brushed aside and said, oh, man, they're not very good. If he's the guy that finally lets this happen, all the people who always said Michael's number one and everybody else, including LeBron's playing for second, they will hang on to this thing forever and ever.
That is wildly unfair, but it is, I guess, the business that we and him have chosen. He would have been better off than just getting swept to start the series instead of losing in 7. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but I guess nothing has to make sense anymore. We're in a post-fact society. You mentioned Durant. That is also the flip side of this, right? Like, we just did the what if the Lakers lose the series, what that means for LeBron. If the Rockets basically do this entire thing without Durant, I know he played at the beginning of the series, but that was when the Lakers were winning the games. If they do execute this comeback, and it's the young guys in Sengun and doing it without KD, with him watching and talking to Fred VanVleet, who's been out for the entire year, What happens to KD, and what does it mean for him and the Rockets going forward?
Danny, if the Rockets come all the way back and I'm KD, I'm on the phone with Rich Kleiman, his manager, I'm saying, get me out of here. Because clearly there's not something that is working with this team. Kevin is still an incredible player. I mean, it's unfair to judge LeBron or whatever happens if they actually blow this. It's incredibly unfair to judge what's going on in Houston and blame it all on KD not being there. He is still awesome. But the proof is in the pudding in all these different spots. I mean, I lived it with him at the end of that Warriors tenure. Then I lived it with him watching that Brooklyn team kind of fall apart. The Phoenix thing was what it was, and now this Rockets situation is happening. There's always something bad that occurs at the end. And for as talented of a player and as great as Kevin is, he just can't seem to step away from a mess that's always occurring. So I think if Houston comes all the way back and they complete this comeback and can get it to Game 7 and win it, everybody's going to be looking at him and going, oh, man, again, here we go. The only thing I tell you anecdotally is I watched this Houston team multiple times down the stretch. The chemistry is all off. They are all over the place. They've found it now without Kevin. You always want to have somebody like that on the floor if he can help you, but this isn't like a new thing. That team was a mess down the stretch. They didn't look right. And even if they get everybody back healthy next year, I don't think they're winning a title. If you're Kevin Durant at this stage of your career, that's all you know you're going to be judged by. So I would want out of Houston no matter what if they come and finish the deal here.
So just 6 franchises in that scenario for Kevin Durant. I guess, call me naive. Like, if the Rockets do pull it off, KD will then presumably come back for a Thunder series where they would lose. I know he would get a ton of blame because they won without him, then they lose there. They were probably going to do that either way. I could see a world where they say Van Vliet missed the year, Steven Adams missed 50 games in the postseason, Durant injured down the stretch after being All-NBA over the course of the year, young guys developed, and trying to let, bygones and burners be a thing of the past and move forward next year. I'm not completely sending him to New York or Denver or Detroit quite yet. I'm not willing to do it.
Danny, if they see that world, good luck to them. Because that world is not the real world. This team does not have enough talent to get them through it, not in a world that still has the Thunder and Wemby coming along with that San Antonio team. If you're Kevin, the hope was that Houston was going to be maybe your last stop in a Hall of Fame career. What we've seen is that the pieces just don't fit. And count me in a group that believes even with Fred VanVleet and Adams and everybody getting another year together, that's still not enough given what he's asked to do night to night.
All right, well, coming up next, Jokic lost against Rudy Gobert in a backup in a backcourt in Minnesota. It's really shocking what happens next in the Western Conference. We discussed with Nick Friedel on the OT. Welcome back to the OT. Athletic senior NBA writer Nick Friedel sticking with us. Let's talk T-Wolves, who pulled off an upset over Jokic and the Nuggets that, in theory, shouldn't be that shocking given their history together, but given who was injured, I think qualifies as a shocker. Rudy Gobert was tasked with the challenge of guarding the Joker throughout the series. He did an amazing job. His teammate, Jaden McDaniels, noticed and complimented the efforts. Take a listen.
Rudy was fantastic. I mean, Hall of Fame player, Hall of Fame defender. It's on to the next round, and he got another challenge, and I know he's going to succeed. So I'm just ready to see it.
Nick, given the Wolves' injuries and what we thought about this Nuggets team that had won 12 straight going into the playoffs, how shocked were you by this upset?
Danny, we're almost 24 hours later. I still can't believe it.
Okay.
I'm sitting here telling everybody for a couple of years now, Jokic is the best player. It's not even close. He can deliver this team at least through the first round. And I'm watching those games going, Minnesota's just a little bit better, and they're a little bit tougher no matter who's on the floor. You can go up and down that roster, and you mentioned Gobert, McDaniels, they were awesome. I think a lot of people around the league need to give Chris Finch even more respect. And that's not a name coaching-wise that you hear, oh, man, he's one of the best. But the fact that that guy got this team without Ant, without DiVincenzo, DeSumo didn't play last night, and they still won. There is a lot to like about the culture in Minnesota right now, but when you watch them, I don't think it goes beyond this moment. The fact that they got to this point, though, and beat the Nuggets is gigantic for them.
Back-to-back Western Conference Finals trips, like at some point it's a styles make fights thing, right? Like Tim Connolly, their executive, he came over from Denver. He built the Wolves kind of with beating Denver in mind. He knew all about it. And they've matched up now 3 of the last 4 years in the finals. And this kind of it stuck with me going into it because I thought it was going to be a close series. This is before the injuries. But if you just look head-to-head last 4 seasons, including the playoffs, 18-16, scoring within 2 points a game of each other, basically shooting the same thing from the floor. Like, some teams just match up well with other teams, and I do think Gobert being able to take Jokic one-on-one, and it's not a triple team. You know, like everybody doesn't need to go to Jokic so that other guys get open looks. Like, it's like Gobert's like, no, I got him. He'll get some, but he's going to be less efficient. And just Minnesota plays Denver differently than everybody else.
Danny, I think it's a great point, especially with Connolly, because he knows how to build these teams. It's almost like a college setup. You're picking guys you know who are going to have certain roles, and no matter who's on the floor, they know their job. I think what struck me in watching this series specifically is you watched a Minnesota team that had absolutely no fear. No matter who was out there,
yeah, they're tough.
They knew, hey, we're going to be all right. And to the point about Gobert, I know a lot of people roll their eyes and they go, oh, this dude, come on. He's not that good. Let me tell you something. He is that good defensively. And he can slow down anybody, including Jokic, who so many people thought was just going to dominate throughout. He set the tone. Everybody else followed. But when you have like-minded guys who think that no matter who's out there, they'll find a way, that can take you a lot of places. And what it did for Minnesota is it got them out of the first round. And the fact that they did it without who was on the floor makes it stand out in a way that we're going to remember for a while.
And I love any team that talks trash and then backs it up. After game 2, they're like, you guys can't play any defense. And then they proved it exactly correct. Let's go to New York and talk Knicks. And Nick, I got to be honest, yesterday I said Hawks in 7. So, 50 points later, I got that one wrong. But to be fair, Knicks routed the Hawks. 51-point lead to advance after a trailing 2-1 in the series. Jalen Brunson was asked about the historic win and if it's going to have any carryover impact for the rest of the playoffs. Take a listen to Jalen.
Honestly, nothing. It's something that we're going to have to flush and turn the page and get ready. Happy with the way we performed, but it's time to turn the page and refocus up.
How high is the Knicks ceiling now that they got out of round 1?
Danny, I think this is as high as the ceiling goes. I know that there are people that say, all right, well, they got through Boston. That's not going to be an issue if the Celtics do indeed get game 7. And who knows what the hell happens if Philly does. But I still do not believe in Karl Anthony Towns. I know you guys hit on it before. I know he had some good games in that Atlanta series, and you're thinking, all right, we want to turn pages. Let's turn the page. Let's stop having the Cat conversation. No. Cat needs to do it every night in the playoffs. And if he does that as you get later in the playoffs, then I'll believe that the team is actually for real. Until that point, I still view this Knicks team as Brunson, a level above everybody else, and then a bunch of guys who can have good moments, but who can't consistently do what they need to do. So I'd love to be back in a little while saying, all right, it was me, I was wrong, because I absolutely thought they were getting past Atlanta. I just don't believe if it is Boston and they have health, that the Knicks can get themselves through where they need to go this year.
So you and I are pretty aligned on this. Like, I will say Towns has been playing very well. Like, this has been the best version of him that I've seen in terms of two-way impact. So I don't know if Mike Brown gets credit, if the skeptics get credit, if he looked in a mirror and remembered that he was 7 feet tall and he could probably make an impact on the defensive end of the floor. I don't know what it was, but he has been playing hard at that end. All the teams in the East are flawed. I still will pick against them, though. I am with you. But I also think, as mad as Knicks fans get at me online and occasionally here in the streets of New York, I am holding you to your own standard. Like, if you fire Tibbs for making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, the only thing that you should celebrate is if you make it to the NBA Finals. And given how Boston has looked shaky, and we'll see if they even get out of it, how Cleveland has looked soft, how Detroit has one offensive facilitator, albeit a great one, if you're a Knicks fan or the Knicks organization, you should consider yourselves the favorite to come out of the East right now, should you not?
You should, but I think we know, and Vegas knows, that that's not really the case.
Right, Vegas has them third in the East.
Yeah, exactly. And I bring this up real quickly. I've yet to see a Tibbs-built team around that guy and those players get replaced by somebody else and go have a lot more success. Mike Brown is a hell of a coach. I just don't believe that he is the guy who's going to be able to get them over the hurdles that they need moving forward here.
Well, the bracket might end up breaking really well for them, and how they played the last 3 games, at least they're going to make us watch, and I had them losing in the first round, so they've already proven me wrong. Nick, great stuff. Fun doing it. Coming up, Ty Simpson. If he's Jordan Love, is it a success? I'll tell you why the answer to that is no. Coming up on the OT. Time now for First Things Last. The LA Rams are considered one of the most successful organizations in the NFL. Their general manager Les Snead and coach Sean McVay are universally regarded as being at or near the peak of their profession, which is why I cannot get over how much I fundamentally disagree with their philosophy behind drafting Ty Simpson with the 13th pick. And to illustrate my point, I'll ask a simple question and you can play along. Was Jordan Love a good pick for the Green Bay Packers? Now, I think most people would say yes. I would say no. The Packers were able to go from Aaron Rodgers to Love and never enter quarterback purgatory that plagues so many franchises. The Packers have gotten MVP caliber stretches from Love, a playoff win, and they did reward him with a $200 million contract. However, for the purposes of the thought exercise, let's travel back to 2020. The narrative for the Packers with Rodgers was that they had never drafted him a receiver in the first round. Say instead of trading up to select Love, the Packers had taken T. Higgins, who was the next receiver off the board with their own 30th pick. Rodgers went on to win the 2020 MVP without the first-round help, but the Packers lost by 5 to the Bucs in the NFC Championship game, mustering a mere 3 points in the fourth quarter. T. Higgins had over 900 yards and 6 touchdowns that year. Might he have been the difference? The following season, Rodgers again won MVP. The Packers won 13 games, but the Packers again fell short in the playoffs, losing to the Niners by 3. Would second-year T. Higgins and his nearly 1,100 yards have made the difference? Now, we'll never know, but what we do know is that Jordan Love contributed absolutely nothing to 2 Packers teams that were good enough to win a Super Bowl. Which brings us back to the Rams. When you have a Hall of Fame quarterback still capable of winning it all, your responsibility isn't to plan for the future, it's to maximize the present. Ty Simpson might one day be great, but in order to justify the draft pick, the Rams need to win another Super Bowl with Stafford and then again in the future with Simpson. But of course, what is much more likely is that they'll be left trying to explain why they almost won the big one. That's all I've got. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on First Things First. Have a great weekend.
Hey, Mama. Thanks for making all my favorite recipes.
Hi, Ma. Thanks for your unfiltered advice.
Hi, Mom. Thanks for always being by the phone.
Hey, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.
When you ship UPS Air at the UPS Store, your items arrive on time or your money back. Guaranteed at no extra cost. Exclusively at the UPS Store U.S. retail locations. Visit the upsstore.com/airshipping for full details. Terms and conditions apply. Send your Mother's Day gifts at the UPS Store and we'll get your gratitude there on time.